Go Vote Omaha. My name is Krystal Fox, and I'm the co-president of the League of Women Voters. Today our topic will be the Black Votes Matter Historical Tour. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization whose focus is to empower voters and defend democracy. The Go Vote Omaha TV show focuses on issues of policy so that you feel more empowered as a voter. So we hope today you'll learn more about Black Votes Matter and the historical tour. I'm going to turn this over to Megan so that she can talk with her fellow attendees about the experience.
Hi, I'm Megan Lambert. I'm an incoming junior at Boys Town High School.
Hello, my name is Maddy Hagan, and I'm incoming senior at Boys Town High School.
Hello, my name is LeVelle Henderson, and I'm an incoming freshman at North.
Hello, my name is Kelly Santos, and I'm an upcoming freshman at UNO.
Okay, so we started our tour in Memphis, Tennessee. What was the most memorable part of this stop? Maddy?
Where did we go in Memphis?
Yeah. We went to the National Civil Rights Museum, Mason Temple with Bishop Hall, and Piccadilly's restaurant.
I think for me personally, the most memorable part was the very first museum, the Lorraine Motel. And I think what was most memorable about it to me is the fact that that is where one of the most important and well-known civil rights leaders died, and we got to see that his room was still intact the way he left it, and it just gets you to thinking that it's like this wasn't that long ago. And they have these pictures in the textbooks, and they're in gray, but this happened 50, 60 years ago. It was not that long ago.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's one of the most things that stood out to me while I was there, seeing the hotel room and where he was staying at before he got shot was really something to see.
Just being in the place where Martin Luther King, he was down in Memphis for sanitation workers, their strike. He was going to be there to support them, and he was assassinated in that hotel room. And it was just like Kelly said, it was kind of surreal being in the very place, in the very room where he slept and walked, and where he was just living. And then next thing you know, he died, and it was just so weird to be face to face with that part of history.
And the cars were still there.
Yeah, the cars were still.
That's the crazy part.
It was frozen in time. It was kind of crazy.
It was very captivating, in my opinion. So was Jackson, Mississippi. That was our next stop. We went on a tour with Miss Shirley. We went to the Civil Rights Museum, and then we concluded the day with Johnny T's restaurant. Do you have a favorite part of that?
My favorite part was hearing her talk about what she went through and how she still did what she did, even though she went through all that. And that was literally one of my favorite parts of the whole trip, just hearing her talk about what she went through.
Yeah.
Can you describe some of the things that she went through that you got to hear about?
She was how they put her and the
Children?
other people, children, the buses took her to the stables, and they had to all come together and make areas for them to stay where they could all sit down. And also one of the traumatic things that she said she went through, his house, I can't remember his name, but his house, Medgar Evans, yeah. He was being burnt, his house was burnt down, and he had the t-shirts that she had asked for, and that was very, impactful.
Yeah, because it was kind of crazy to know that when back in the day she was part of the Children's March, and they were kids maybe younger and around our age that left school to march and proclaim what they thought were right. And regardless of the fact that they were held in those pens at the county fair, they still were adamant on continuing to protest and sing their songs, and they waited until their parents got them. And it was just kind of part of the process. But the fact that they would hold children in places where cows were held was wow, that's so low. And the fact that she was there talking to us on the bus, and she was there decades ago, was really impactful.
For me, the most memorable part was when we went to the museum and you know the little movies that were playing. One part that like really, well, two parts. Like one part was like where they had the clan outfits, and there was one that was like in pristine shape, like it had dried blood on it, and that is like, that's horrible. That's like, it's like real. Somebody wore that. Somebody put that on and felt pride with it on, and that's disgusting. And who knows what they did because there was dry blood on there. And then, you know, with the little movies, I saw, you know, the Emmett Till movie, and I ended up finding out a lot more information. And I thought I knew most of the story, and I knew only like a quarter of it, because like these schools or, you know, these people don't tell you enough about these stories, because they don't tell you how bad it really was, because it was horrible. It was disgusting. And you think like, oh, it was bad, yeah, but like he was dragged out of his house, where he was staying, you know, with his uncle, and he was killed. This was a little boy. Yeah. This was like his age as a child.
Yeah. A couple sentences in a textbook does not do it justice, with being in the very places, regardless of everything that happened in history, being in the places where history actually happened, it does no justice to just read it or just watch it. Yeah. It actually being where artifacts of history was, and just like someone used this, or this was a place where someone was hurt. It's really different.
I learned that too. We learned a lot more than what we had been learning at school or had been reading in books, textbooks. It was like face to face with people who had been there and had done that and experienced it. So I think that was very real and life-changing. Our next stop was Birmingham, Alabama. We went to see the choir in Kelly Ingram Park, the 16th Street Baptist Church, the Birmingham Civil Rights Museum, and Penny Georgie's Kitchen. What was the most life-changing experience there?
Going in the church, and I was able to actually go up to like the choir stand and see the whole church. It was a beautiful church, and
yeah, it was
I can't believe somebody would bomb it. That was horrible. And I really enjoyed the movie that we watched and everything that happened in that church. While I was there, it was a good time.
Yeah, it was very educational, because like, you know, they have like the timelines on the walls and stuff, and then and you're reading this, but then you get to the kitchen. Yeah. Well, what now is the kitchen, and it used to be the bathroom, and you open the windows, and then that's where those little girls died. Yeah. Were bombed, and like they woke up and they didn't know that was gonna happen. It doesn't sit right with me.
Gives you chills, like
when
you
see it, you see the site, and you're like, this is like real. Like like this actually happened. These innocent little girls, like children. Yeah, it's horrible.
I just can't, like, walking down those stairs. Like, it was like a winding staircase down to what was probably the bathrooms that they're going to. It was just so. It was like time stopped as you're walking down the stairs. Like, you're just realizing, like, these girls were probably so excited to come to Sunday school or to church. You know, they were probably dressed up, willing to see their friends. It was going to be a good time, and the next thing you know, they passed away, and it's just so horrible. But another thing about that day was the choir in the park. That was something that it was like soul shaking. Just having that choir sing to us, those women and some men that were there decades ago singing those same songs, marching, and just the soul, you could feel the energy as they sang, and it was just captivating. Like when we were like watching them sing, it was just like you were drawn to like you couldn't do anything else, and I started crying, honestly, because it was so much emotion in what they said, and it was yeah.
We went to Selma, Alabama next, and then we went to Montgomery in the afternoon. We went to the Voting Rights Museum. We walked across the Edmund Pettus Bridge. We went to the Rosa Parks Museum and Dexter Avenue Baptist Church.
That was a full day.
Afterwards, we went to Fried Green Tomato.
Wow, that was a full day. That was a busy day.
You guys have a favorite part, most memorable part?
It was the bridge and the Rosa Parks Museum. That was my two favorite things we did that day.
The bridge, like because you know how they made us walk up the bridge, in the same direction and on the same side that the protesters did originally. I was like, you know, because obviously the bridge hasn't changed, you know, and it's still there, and you're walking under, and you're like, well, you know, the foot soldiers of the 60s were like right here, and it's like an honor to stand where they stand, to walk the path that they walk. I mean, we wouldn't be here without them. We wouldn't have made progress.
You guys know the movie Selma?
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched that after returning to the trip, and it showed the bridge that we walked on, and I was like, I was there. How many people can say that they walked on Selma? Like, not very many. And the fact that we were on that bridge, when I was there, it was two things. I was scared of the height. It was really high off the ground. But other thing, it was just kind of like sad to me, because I know this is where John Lewis, I think he fractured his skull before when walking on that bridge, and all the other horrors that happened on the bridge. But also, like, what happened because of that march was in my mind, and it was just like, we're really walking in history's footsteps when we were there.
You know what's like, what really like did not sit right with me? You know the name that the bridge is named after? I mean, like, obviously I did my own research. This man was a Klan member. Like, this bridge is very important, is a very historical, important event, and it's named after a Klan member. When I heard that, I was just like, are you serious right now? Like, you know, life-changing historical moments happen here, and you guys named it after a Klan member, a Confederate soldier? Like, that's disgusting. It's horrible.
I think I was right next to you. We read that together, and it was, we both, I think we took a step back. It was
we were
astonishing.
Yeah.
We were, astonishing.
I didn't know this before you told me.
Yeah, no. Like, it was in the signs, and it's like, you used to get to thinking, you're like, really? Like,
It's like a double mantra as you're walking on the bridge, you know?
Exactly.
Like, this is what people risk their lives for, and like all of the power of protesting, yet there's this other side of it, like what the bridge, like, names do matter, like history does matter.
It's honestly whitewashed. I mean, history is whitewashed, is really what it is. They will paint these white names and over important Black history, important history that has helped us make progress. But they will put these white names and these white people that, first of all, were not beneficial to the movement, and they will put this and like slap the name on there. And then it's almost as if like they don't care about the event that happened. It's almost disrespectful, you know?
Yeah.
On Friday, we started a day in Montgomery, and then we ended with a stop at Tuskegee. We went to the National Memorial for Peace and Justice, the Legacy Museum, and Tuskegee University, and we finished with a buffet. What was the most captivating experience of that day?
I think we, like, the national, what was it called again?
The National Memorial for Peace and Justice. Yeah, and the Legacy
That
Museum.
was the lynching museum.
Yeah. Okay.
I broke down crying. I could not get that through that whole thing without crying.
Tell what it is.
So the museum it has these podiums, basically from each county of every state in America, and it shows those who were lynched and the names and reasons. Sometimes the reasons are unknown, which really, that's another thing. And then just some reasons, like one of the reasons someone was lynched was from drinking from a white man's well, knocking on the door, frustrating a white woman. Like, someone lost their life over these things. And some of the times they were for crimes that they committed, but we all know they probably didn't have a trial. It was probably just he said, she said, and they lost their lives over it. And it's just the thing that got me was there's so many names. So many names. It was just, I just broke down crying. It was just so sad. It's really basically what it was.
Yeah, I really like that museum as well, because like it honors all those people who were lynched, and you, like, their names are there and you know they existed. So like, it's just amazing to know these, you know, you don't forget these people and that their lives were taken.
Right.
And
I saw the one that was for Douglas County, the two men that was so like it was very upsetting. It's a memorial museum and it's amazing, because they're finally getting their place, and this is like the bare minimum, right? But it's like you like I saw the Douglas County one and the two men, and I do not remember their names, but like this is where we live and like this happened. But then you see like these states like Alabama and Mississippi, like
24 in one day on one of the
and these are literal massacres, and like when you think about it, it's like these white people did not like it's a life, you're taking a life. To you it's like a pastime. To you it's nothing. You're totally desensitized to it. But it's like you just don't care. Like, are you kidding me? You wake up one day and you hate everybody because they don't look like you. Like, it just made me mad. It made me more mad than sad. Like, it just angers you, Like, you just kill people. You kill people because they frustrated you. You kill people because you thought that they looked at you wrong, And it's angry.
And one of the men that was lynched in Omaha was Will Brown. I did some more research on him, and it made me step back and like just analyze just how deep it was, how like hate was normal, how lynchings became a spectacle. People came and watched. They took their kids there. It was something that everyone came to. Like, we go to the movie theater. It's basically a movie.
It's basically like family time. Bring the kids. We'll sell food, beverage. Like you're saying, it's like it's an outing to do.
Like the word that they told us about. I'm gonna say it. You get what I'm saying.
But you did research on him. Can you kind of like explain like the gist of what happened to him?
Yeah. So there was a couple in Omaha that were walking after a movie late at night, and they were assaulted by a man that was black. And they filed a report, and then Will Brown was in the neighborhood, and they thought that he fit the description of the black man that had assaulted the couple. And the newspapers came out talking about how this they called him a black beast, that exact quote from the Omaha Bee. And they called him Black Beast, and he didn't get a trial. He was arrested. They took him from the courthouse, burned the courthouse. They hung him. Sorry, this is really deep. After they hung him, they shot him. And then they held him up in like triumph. And then they drug him through the streets. They also burned him alive. So it was a lot of stuff, and it wasn't just one thing. You can tell when someone got their punishment. They didn't have a trial. That's kind of was most frustrating. And people don't know that Omaha was not untouchable. Omaha experienced this pain and this hate, even though we are in the Midwest. You thought this was all in the South, and in fact, as it wasn't. It was right here where we're standing in this same city. Yeah.
Just so much malice and hate.
Our last day was spent in Atlanta. We went to an HBCU tour, the King Center, dinner, and a program at Friendship Baptist Church. What was your favorite part of that?
I do have a question. Just because I cannot remember the name. Was the King Center also like, the incarceration museum?
That was the Legacy Museum the day before.
I thought so.
Yeah.
Okay,
You
sorry.
want to talk about that?
Later, we can talk about that right now.
Okay.
The King Museum.
I liked that being able to see their gravesite. That was interesting to see where they were buried. I enjoyed that. I mean,
Just like to be able to see.
Yeah.
I agree. I like the Friendship Baptist Church. It was one of the most beautiful churches I've ever been in. It was like
The food.
the food was amazing. And just we did our presentations there. So we all were assembled into different small groups, and we all had we all assigned a significant member, civil rights leader. Our group, Megan and I's, was Medgar Evers, and Megan wrote a poem, and we all recited it in front of an audience at the Friendship Baptist Church.
I loved it so much.
We didn't win, but it's fine. But it was a really nice experience to see the hospitality of those at the Friendship Baptist Church and have the amazing food, of course, and just kind of showcase what we learned throughout the whole week. It was it was really nice to show what education we acquired.
I think that I think it's like the memorial itself, you know, like where they were buried. I think that that was my favorite part because you know that like Miss Coretta, like she made, you know, after he died, you know, she invested this, she made this, like, and it's so beautiful because it's like like he was a hated man, you know, by white people and like bigots and like, yeah, he was hated, but then there's this beautiful memory, memorial to like commemorate him. He's a great man, you know what I mean?
And the eternal flame, that was cool.
I love the
That is
eternal
so
flame. That was
cool.
so beautiful. It's like I didn't even know it was there until Mr. Preston like
He's
mentioned it at
he's
the
like,
end.
move so you can see, move your guys' head so they can see the flames. It's like, oh.
It was very pretty, yeah.
We learned a lot, and we've discussed that. What was the most interesting historical fact that you learned? What's the most memorable?
That's like, this is
Wow.
like, this is,
It was
there's
a whole
so
week of a
much.
bunch of information.
Something that I learned was about the burning of Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I never heard about that ever before in school, but basically Black people were being their own entrepreneurs, their business owners. They had a booming economy and community, and it was thriving. And white people burned down the town. It was a massacre. They were shooting people, burning homes. It was really crazy. And it, like, to me in my head, it was like white people saw that they were no longer leaning on, Black people were no longer leaning on them for help. And they saw that they were independent and no longer needed them. So that kind of shows how much money is invested into a lot of things in our society.
Yeah, the Black entrepreneurs in the Black community were a threat to the people that were above them because they were getting
their own. They were self-independent.
Yes, exactly.
One of the most interesting things I learned was I did not know that children would lead their schools to go participate in the marches. I thought it was all just the adults and the main leaders that I know about, but I did not know children actually went and they did what they needed to do to get their message across, that they didn't want to be treated poorly anymore.
My fact is like what I learned was more so like a person like Medgar Evers. Like I said, like the history that they teach us in our schools is very whitewashed. They will teach you about MLK for a few weeks and call it a day. They don't teach us everything that they need to teach us. And I had never ever heard about these important figures like Ella Baker or Medgar Evers, you know, or Fannie Lou Hamer.
Yeah.
I had never heard of these people, and like Medgar Evers really stood out to me simply because like Miss Shirley was giving us a tour. She knew this man, and it's like he was like so important. He was so out there, and I never knew.
Well, we learned a lot, and I heard LeVelle just talked about some of the things that the children are doing. When we're teenagers and we're in Omaha, we are active in our communities. What do you think we learned? What was the call to action that we have, maybe that you took personally?
Well, Preston always said, like, we're learning history, go out and make history. And I was like thinking about that, and it's like, I can make history. Like, it always starts with, I can do that. A lot of people think that they put themselves down, but if you put yourself in a place where, like, I can do that, I can make a change, instead of just saying, oh, someone else would do it. Don't wait for it. Who says it can't be you to make that change? So I took that as, like, I can implement that into my own life and, like, start taking action and, like, not be the one to piggyback, but to start something that needs to be done, you know?
Yeah, like, because one thing that I really want to do is change the world. One thing, I just know I want to do something that changes the world. I don't know what yet, but I do want to change the world. I don't know when, but I do. It's going to.
At least you have that notion in your head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You will. You will.
These I feel like this tour is like very, you know, when the right people go on it, like this is very impactful, and this tours like these like plant a seed.
Yep.
And for these future history makers, and I feel like this tour really did a lot for me. I learned a lot, and it's like I was already very outspoken, you know, politically speaking, over, you know, the civil rights movement and other movements that have helped us and, like, you know, given us the opportunity to make more progress. And even more so now, like, I'm even a lot more vocal about it, like through social medias, like, you know, I know people think I'm annoying with posting it everywhere and stuff. And I will tell my family, and I will talk their ears off, and I will do everything I can to educate those around me, because I took the opportunity to educate myself. Now it's my turn to, like, spread that.
Right.
To, like, you know, educate my community, you know.
It starts with us,
Mhm.
honestly.
It
Us-
always does start with us. We are the
Exactly.
seed.
Like we're the future.
Personally, for me, I write poetry, and I think you guys learned that too. This tour gave me a lot of content, so I honestly don't think I processed everything. That was a whole week load of
Yeah.
decades packed into a week, so that was a lot. But I'm continuing to write, continuing to learn, continuing to reflect, and I think all of us can continue to do that, because we are the change. We're the next generation, and we're creating the world we're going to live in. So,
Amen.
Okay, so do you guys, like, how did you guys feel, like, what were your crying moments? Because everybody had those moments when you saw something and you just could not help but cry.
The slave trade.
Oh my gosh, no. When I saw those statues, I teared up, but, like, for me, it was like the Incarceration Museum.
All right. Okay. Hello. Oh my goodness. I hope you guys enjoyed that. These students are phenomenal. I'm so proud to be associated with them. There are way more things that they could talk about. They were getting ready to go in a whole nother 30 minutes. But we thank you for being here. So join the league at every time on the Go Vote Omaha show, where you can learn a bit more about issues, candidates, and policy.